Hi everyone, Mike here from Watch It Paint It, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make very simple, very easy, rocky bases for your miniatures. This is from the new Kroot Army box set, and thank you very much to Games Workshop for sending this to me. The main ingredient for this base is going to be bark chips, or bark nuggets as you can see here. And I could not for the life of me find a smaller bag than this. This is many lifetimes worth of bark nuggets. You can find these in gardening sections of hardware stores, and hopefully your hardware store sells smaller bags than this one. Now these bark chips are already almost the exact color I want, and if I wanted to do some very quick basing, I could just seal these with PVA glue and varnish and then it'll be done. I want to create a red sandstone base for this model, but I do want them to be a bit darker and I want some edge highlights. So after finding one that fits properly on the base, I then need to stick it on with something. You could use a glue gun or super glue, but I much prefer to use an earth texture. This way, once I press the piece of bark onto the base, there won't be any weird gaps underneath. They'll be full of mud. It took me a couple tries to get the right amount on there, but when you press the bark into place, you should see a little bit of mud squishing out at the bottom. And then you'll have a weird looking sandwich that looks like it came out of a vending machine from a truck stop bathroom.
What's that black cracker?
A tomato.
You're not going to eat a sandwich from a truck stop men's room, are you?
What's the worst thing that could happen?
Once the bark is in place, you just want to clean up the edges a bit and add a little more mud around the bottom to make it look like it's sitting in a desert somewhere. One thing I would recommend while this is drying is to put weights on either end of it. As the mud texture dries, it also shrinks and it can curl up the edges of large bases. For the next step, you'll want to mix some water with either Mod Podge or PVA glue. I'm spreading this all over the bark chip to prevent it from flaking after it's painted. This is about 50-50 water and Mod Podge. You want it thin enough so that it can sink into all the crevices and the glue can bind everything together. For the base color of this rock, I wanted a deep rusty tone, so I'm going to mix together 2 parts Rhinox hide and about 1 part burgundy. Then I'm going to thin this down with about equal parts water. As I said before, this is almost the color I want anyway, so 1 coat of paint over this entire thing will be enough. If you're not using bark chips that are the same color as this though, you may want to use 2 thin coats. Once that's dry, I'm then going to apply a wash to the entire base, including the mud texture. This is a 2-to-1 mix of Agrax Earth Shade and Reikland Flesh Shade. The next few steps are going to be this wash and then 3 different colors of dry brush. Right now the rock and the mud don't look like they belong together, but these steps are going to bring these 2 things together. Next I'm going to do the dry brushing, starting with the darkest color and working my way to the lightest. The first one is a rusty brown color, Mornfang Brown, and this is going everywhere. I'm going to dry brush the entire rock and the sand with this color. I'm moving my brush perpendicular to the grooves in the rock so I don't get any paint in there, but I'm going fairly heavy with this color. Next up is a slightly lighter rusty brown, XV88, and this time I'm going a bit lighter with a dry brush. I don't want to completely color all of the first color that I applied. I'm using less of this color and trying to focus mainly on all of the edges around the rock. I'm also only very lightly dry brushing the sand, just trying to pick out the most raised bumps. The final color is a yellowish tan, and I'm just using this to frame the top edge all around the rock to kind of highlight where the miniature is standing. I'll also use just a very small amount on the sand to add a little bit of color variation. And that's all I'm doing for this base. I wanted it to be a barren desert looking base, but I've used tree bark for multiple different types of rock. This one looks like a blue-gray slate, and then I added some grass, and I've done others with blacks and browns, but it's pretty versatile. The method I used for the reddish desert base is exactly the same one that I used for this Kroot Lone Spear. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you guys found it useful. This is Mike from Watch It Paint It, and thanks for watching.